Well, hey, welcome to Quick Wins for ADHD Moms. I'm Jessica Lynn Lewis. Today we have a special guest. Before we jump into it, I actually had to record her name 1,000 times. It's not that hard, but my brain just could not get it. So I'll play a little clip of me trying to introduce her, and then I'll try to do better this time. Let me stop right there. Am I saying that right?
But
Buller.
without
Bueller? Buller. Dr. Kailey Buller. Well, today we have a very special guest. I will get it.
honestly, Buller
It's
is
just a
like, it
new
sounds the same.
I will get it, I promise. Today, Dr. Kailey Buller. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's try to introduce her the right way. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Kailey Buller, double board certified physician in emergency and family medicine. She's a mom of two and creator of Surviving Tiny Humans. Diagnosed with ADHD in adulthood after years of being mislabeled, she now helps overwhelmed parents navigate the first year with their sanity mostly intact. She's here to share practical strategies for working with your ADHD brain, not against it. That's why I'm recording this later. All right, let's dive in. So, Kailey, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate you being on the show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I love this podcast, by the way, and it's going to be great to actually be able to add my voice and learn a little bit more today.
Tell us before we dive into your story, and I really would love to hear about, how you discovered that you had ADHD and you've got two small children and how you manage all of that. Before we dive into that, what is your quick win for today?
Yes, so my quick win for today is all about working memory. So if anyone who I'm sure it's everyone struggles with walking into a room and forgetting why you're there in the first place,
All the
or
time.
having all of those things that you have to keep track of in your brain, especially with young kids, like who's got this activity and when, this quick win is about offloading all of that information, externalizing it, getting it out of your brain, dumping it, right? It's so hard, especially with ADHD, to be keeping track of all of those little details. And we try so hard to hold on to it, right? Like we want to make sure that we're remembering, and then worrying about are we going to be able to remember becomes something that we're worried about
Mhm.
that just adds to the list, right? So
And
being
being
able to
impulsive
find a
and
system.
I was just being impulsive and talking over people because I have to get it out now or else I'm going to forget.
Absolutely. Yes. It's such a big issue for, I think, a lot of us. And being able to just take that data and dump it somewhere else that you can reference later really clears up a lot of space in your brain. And then it's accessible and you can sort of relax and get to it when you get to it. So, whatever that system might look like for you, and it could be different. And as you had mentioned in one of your other podcasts, don't compare yourself to others, right? One system for one person is not going to be the system for you, but find something. And what I find really interesting, before I was diagnosed with ADHD, my system was chaos, but I had a system. So I had like post-it notes everywhere. And this was my like, I have to do this today. And then I had my weekly agenda, and this was the stuff that I had to do this week. And then I had this big calendar on the wall with like my big project. Like this was in college, right? So I had like this papers due here, my exam is here, because that was the only way I could figure it out. Recently, I found this wonderful app that I use. So I now have this widget on my lock screen of my phone. So when something pops into my brain, I just push that button on my lock screen and I dictate, remember to email Jacob later. And then it's there and it's out of my brain, and I don't have to worry that I'm going to forget it later.
And you don't have to look for a pen and paper, because by the time you find the
Right?
pen and paper,
It's gone.
what was it that is gone? Yeah.
Right? And I almost always have, well, if I'm not losing my phone, I almost always have my phone on hand, right? So it does work
Yes.
out really well. But again, that might not work for everyone. But the point is just to stop putting the pressure on yourself to remember, because if you're anything like me, you're not going to. We know you're not going to remember. So take the pressure off. Put it
Yeah,
down
just
somewhere else.
it I think that is so helpful. I use Notion to just dump everything into, and I think there's a widget too that I could use on my phone, but I do like that. Not even like logging into your phone, like just picking up your phone, clicking that button right away and talking. Because by the time I pick up my phone, I look and go, oh, I got like 4 text messages, right? And
Right? You get
I'm
distracted on the way into your phone.
texting everybody.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it takes 2 seconds to get distracted. And that's with nobody else around, right? And then you add in kids, they're mom, 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 mom. Yeah. So, well, let's talk a little bit about at what point did you figure out that maybe I should get tested for ADHD?
It's a really, I think, interesting, but not as unique as you might think story. I was diagnosed very late. So I was 27. And I think for women, that's particularly common because ADHD looks very different for us, especially when we're inattentive type. And I was mislabeled as anxiety for a long time. And I don't think that that's actually as uncommon as we might like to think, because a lot of the symptoms of ADHD will manifest as anxiety or anxiety like symptoms in women, right? So, stressing about how am I going to get through the day? How am I going to get everything done? Have I forgotten anything? Like that sounds so typical for so many moms, and people will chalk that up to being anxious, being worried. And so, I wound up actually being treated for anxiety. I was on an antidepressant for a little while, did nothing, not
I was
surprisingly.
just going to ask if that helped at all to ease your anxiety. No, because it didn't hit that core problem of what was going on.
Not at all, right? And I remember having a patient. I was still in medical school and I had a patient who came in and she had said, I have all of these symptoms. I'm so anxious about this. I'm so anxious about that. I think I have anxiety, but this medication isn't working for me. And this was my first time seeing her and I was still a student. So I said, I don't know. Why don't we send you to psychiatry for like diagnostic clarity? Like, let's make sure that this is actually the problem. She came back a couple months later and said, I have ADHD. They gave me Vyvanse and it was like magic. She was like, my anxiety disappeared. And I thought, wow. And when I had had that initial interaction with her, her brand of anxiety, like the things that she worried about were exactly the things that I worried about, right? How am I going to get
Interesting.
everything
Yeah.
done? How am I going to fit it in? I spent more time writing a to-do list than I did actually doing the things on the to-do list because I was
Hmm.
so focused on getting it done. I couldn't delegate tasks because I didn't trust other people to do it the way that I needed it to be done. And if it didn't get done, then I'd have to pick up the slack. So I may as well just do it. Like all of those things that I think happen. Right. And so I went to see a different psychiatrist who actually had a lot of experience in ADHD in adult women. And she was like, oh yeah, you have
Poster
ADHD.
child.
Like, she's like, oh, like, do you also, have trouble like with driving? Like, do you ever get road rage? And I was like, yes. I was like, I don't get like road rage, but like everything people do, I was like so focused on it. Right. Yeah. Like, and it was all these little things that I didn't really realize were ADHD symptoms necessarily. And I think that just goes to show that we don't have enough, recognition of what ADHD is in women,
Hmm.
especially in like the healthcare profession. So I think a lot of women are maybe not getting diagnosed, and it's really too bad. And it actually brings me to my favorite medical history fact is the suffix ectomy means to remove, right? To take out. So appendectomy, remove the appendix. Lobectomy, take out a lobe of whatever, the liver, the lung. Hysterectomy, it's not called it's your uterus, but it's called a hysterectomy because the idea when it was named was to remove a woman's hysteria,
Oh my goodness, really?
right? Yes. So
Yeah.
they thought that by removing the female anatomy, you could reduce
She's
hysteria,
not gonna be
anxiety.
so crazy.
Right,
I
right?
just,
So we really still have some work I think to do in
yeah.
recognizing ADHD in women. And it was the same thing for me. Like it was honestly all the things that I didn't even notice, the symptoms I didn't know I had were gone when I finally got treatment. Yeah.
So, how did you feel after discovering I have ADHD? What was your initial reaction?
It's a really good question. I think partly relief, right? Like finally having an answer and finally having a solution, right? I mean, that's a big part of it. Was I bothered by the diagnosis? Like not even a little bit. I think also probably not being completely neurotypical, I didn't care. I was like, great, I have
Awesome.
ADHD and I'm going to work
Moving
with it.
on.
Cool. Yeah, right? Like
Yeah.
this explains so much. This is me. I get it now. Right? So,
Yeah. Did
mhm.
you this is a random question. When you were little, did you gravitate toward other ADHD best friends? Like when you look back at your childhood and those interactions?
Interesting question. You know what? I don't know that I did, but I definitely gravitated towards boys. Like, I definitely would have said I was more like a
Yeah.
tomboy because I just needed to burn
Same.
off energy all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I used to play football with the boys in 6th grade, just because I just need that energy. It's like, I don't care about boys.
I just wanted
I
I
just
wanted to beat them. I wanted to win.
Yeah, I wanna
It's
take you
probably what
down.
it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's more of a buddy-buddy
Absolutely.
type of thing, right? And then junior high
Yeah.
happens, and we're like, "Whoa, what is going on?" Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think looking back on it now, and I mean, especially now, which is it's interesting. So I do emergency medicine mostly, and there is a disproportionately high number of people who are first responders who have ADHD. So I am now
I
surrounded by
believe
my
it.
people. which is
I
so
believe
great,
it.
right?
Because they're
It's so
so
wonderful.
like, it's impulsive, but it's also they can make connections faster than anybody else because they can see the situation and ask questions that nobody else would think of because they notice things and their lived experience showed them, "Okay, there's all of these things happen here and here and here. Oh my gosh, could it be this?"
Mhm. Absolutely. Yep. And they're good under pressure, a lot of these people, right? They're great in a
Yeah.
crisis
Mhm.
and they can hyper focus when, something's on the line and they're like just cool as cucumbers, which is great. But I've definitely found that finding finding my people in my career has been fantastic because they get me and I get them.
Mhm.
And
You don't
it's
have
been great.
to explain yourself. I feel like I explain myself a lot to other people, or I like to try
Mm,
to explain things.
right.
I think that's
Yeah.
a ADHD trait too, right? Like
Absolutely.
over
I do that
over
with my
explaining
husband a
things.
lot too. Yeah.
Right. And he's probably like, I know,
Absolutely.
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, don't talk to me in the morning until I'm medicated. Like that's right.
Right.
You cannot tell me the things that you've changed about our day until I've got my Vyvanse on board because I will
Right.
not cope with those changes.
And I won't remember. I know my husband's like, but I told you. And I was like, right, but it's not in the calendar and it's not written down and it happened in passing. So if you tell me something and that's all that happens, it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I
how
think he might have some ADHD traits too.
I know. How do you feel about people saying, "Oh, everybody's a little ADHD"?
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes. So you are so correct. And I feel like this is a really common thing. Yes, everybody's going to have some of these traits. All of us fall within a spectrum of being able to pay attention. And when you're tired or when, you're focused on something else, your attention is going to be like, yes, all of these symptoms will show up in everybody. When it becomes diagnosable, when it becomes a problem, is when you hit that threshold that those symptoms start to impact how you function, right? So you might actually have ADHD, but if you're coping well, functioning well, and it doesn't impact your relationships, it doesn't impact your work, it doesn't impact your school, then it's not probably going to be diagnosed and it's not probably going to be treated because you're managing well. And people who have some of these symptoms, if they're going along and they're not struggling in any of their other facets of their life, then they probably don't need that diagnosis either, right? Of course, like we all fall along the spectrum of what is normal and what is not normal. Everyone's built differently. So, yeah, probably people do have symptoms of ADHD. But if you aren't a medical student having panic attacks in the car on the way to work because she's just too overwhelmed, right? Like it was really starting to impact how I functioned. I made it all the way into my residency before someone said, "Yeah, no, this is now a problem."
What do you think was a trigger for that?
It was all the things. Like I could manage the stimulation of college. Like I could keep up in my classes. I managed high school no problem. But once I got into adult life, right? Owning a place, all of the things that go with home ownership,
Responsibility.
being right, like living on my own, residency, the hours of residency. I mean, we're working anywhere from 80 to 120-hour weeks and everything that goes with it. And also you have to do this research paper and also you have this. That was the breaking point for me. And I could no longer manage. And I actually wound up taking a 2 week stress leave in my residency program because I had fallen behind and I just wasn't. And that was so atypical for me because I was always that straight A student, of course. And I played varsity athletics and carried a course load, like because ADHD people want to do it all, right? I used to be able to
Yeah.
do it all and I couldn't anymore. So that was a really odd experience for me, for sure, to not be able to manage. But throughout all of it, and I remember this throughout college, the one time, the one trigger that always got me, I always had a panic attack was moving. And I remember that moving from dorms to an apartment in between or moving back home between years and whatever it was, packing, no problem. As soon as I got to a space and had all these boxes and all this stuff and it all had to go somewhere, that was when I couldn't cope. And I would be like, where's it all going to go? How am I going to get it all done? Right? That was when I would panic. And I didn't realize until I was diagnosed. I was like, oh, yeah, that was for
Classic
sure a symptom.
ADHD symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I'm a little bit different as far as organizing. If I see something, I was looking at the Brown scale that I was diagnosed. Anyway, one of the things was I'm good at organizing, But everything else, memory, focus, activation, like being able to start something or being able to stop something, terrible. And so I realized that was my crutch, is the organization piece that held me together for so long. And then when that broke, everything else just like, what is
Came
wrong
tumbling
with
down.
me? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So
that probably
finding
happens. Yeah,
Yeah, and like you mentioned before, like we're on this huge spectrum and everybody is so different. And I think the more you can understand about yourself and how your brain functions, the better supports you can put into place to be able to help you survive that better, more healthy. Your relationships are better, your sleep is better, just
absolutely.
your
And
holistic
and I
approach
mean
to life is better.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so many people assume that ADHD is just distractibility, but as you mentioned, like it's way more than that. All these executive dysfunctions like task initiation, working memory, sustained attention, emotional regulation, there's so many pieces to it. And it's not just I'm distracted sometimes, right? And everyone looks a little different. Everyone is going to have strengths and weaknesses amongst those domains that look a little different, which is exactly why you shouldn't compare yourselves to others. What works for one might not work for you. And ADHD
Mhm.
looks different in different people, right? For example, you might be great in a crisis, but be completely unable to do laundry. Like I like I put laundry in and it's gone. I've forgotten about it. 2 days later, I'll go back and I'll be like, "Oh,
It
crap."
smells.
Right? I
Yeah, the
gotta
laundry
gotta redo
smells,
it.
and now I have to run it again, on, like, a hot cycle twice to get the stink out, but then the rest of the
Right.
laundry's backed up. Yeah, I've never
Yep.
done that before.
Right? No.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Let's recap your quick win for today. Working memory. Can you just recap that again and explain how that works and your quick win?
Absolutely. So, working memory, of course, is that ability to remember something while you're doing something else. So, when something pops into your brain, but you're too busy to deal with it at the moment, you have to store that somewhere to remember to do it later. And that's very hard for us to do. So, being able to declutter your brain, offload that information, and externalize it. So, externalizing all of those little things can really bring you a bit more calm and serenity inside because all of that now is somewhere on the outside and you don't need to worry about it.
And you've got an app on your phone. Do you know what app it is, or is it just the Notes app?
No, it's called Todoist. So,
Oh,
like,
yes, I've heard
to-do
of that
list.
before.
Yeah, it's
Todoist.
fantastic. I really, really like it. Yeah, it's the one app, and for one of your other, podcasts as well, talking about all these things like, "Oh, I'm gonna get this app, I'm gonna get this journal, I'm gonna get this," and they just wind up not working. This is the one app I think that I've actually tried, and I use it regularly because it's simple. It is simple. Press the button, I dictate what my to-do list item is, and it's there, done,
That's
which
awesome.
is great.
And I'm careful with the quick wins because I understand, like, you cannot possibly implement all of these quick wins. Like, you have to try things and find something that works for you. And I love that you've tried different things and, like, the Todoist works for you. It may not work for someone else, or it might be revolutionary, but you don't know until you try, right? So good. Well, Kaylee, I'm so excited that you're on the show and we're going to talk to you again and you're going to be on the show again with some more quick wins. So stay tuned for
Yes.
that.
Looking forward to it.